How to win every argument without being aggressive. I used to think winning an argument meant raising my voice, proving the other person wrong, crushing their logic until they had nothing left to say. It always felt good for a second. Then came the silence, the distance, the cold wall between me and the other person. That wasn't victory. That was just me burning the bridge I stood on. So what does it mean to win, without turning aggressive, without leaving scars? It starts with something uncomfortable. Admitting that most arguments are not about facts at all. They are about identity, ego, status in a hidden social hierarchy explained only through subtle cues. You think you're fighting over opinions. But deep down, it's survival mindset. Who holds power in the room? Who gets to walk away feeling respected? Who gets to feel safe? This is human nature psychology in its rawest form. And here's the twist. The one who wins is not the one who pushes harder. It's the one who sees deeper. Every conflict is a negotiation of power dynamics. Sometimes the loudest person is already losing, because they've lost control of themselves. Sometimes the quietest one is holding all the cards, because they know exactly how to read people. The secret isn't in aggression. It's in presence. In holding your ground without tightening your fists. In listening so sharply that the other person starts revealing more than they intended. Most people argue to defend an image of themselves. They don't want to look weak. They don't want to feel small. So they attack before you can expose the cracks. If you respond the same way, you're just mirroring their fear. The cycle never ends. To break it, you have to see the hidden script. Unspoken social rules control every argument. If you know them, you can play the game differently. Think about game theory in real life. It's not about dominating every round. It's about understanding incentives, predicting moves, shifting the frame before anyone notices. Here's where emotional intelligence becomes your weapon. Not soft, not passive, sharp like a blade. When someone throws anger at you, don't return anger. Pause. Let the silence expand just enough to make them feel the weight of their words. That silence is power. When someone tries manipulation tactics, twisting your words, making you doubt yourself. Instead of defending, ask a question that exposes the trick. Questions disarm faster than counterattacks. When someone raises their voice, lower yours. The contrast makes them look unbalanced. It makes you look like the anchor in the storm. Winning is not about crushing the other person. It's about making them run out of ways to attack without losing face. It's about guiding the argument to a place where they feel heard, but you remain in control. Muta 1 principle says, power in conversation is not in speaking, it's in controlling the frame. Frames decide who is the teacher, who is the student. Who is the authority, who is the follower? Once you learn to shift frames, you stop being dragged into battles you never needed to fight. Look at office politics tips. People don't rise by shouting in meetings. They rise by planting ideas quietly, making others feel those ideas were theirs all along. That's how you win in life without ever looking like you fought. The real art is subtle. Street smart skills. Knowing when to nod, when to stay silent, when to throw one precise sentence that cuts through the noise. The less you speak, the heavier your words land. You can't see this if you're busy trying to prove yourself. That's the trap. When ego takes over, you stop reading the room. You stop seeing the power dynamics shifting in real time. Arguments are not random. They're battles for status inside invisible hierarchies. Who gets the last word? Who controls the emotional tone? Who others turn their eyes to when tension rises? If you want to win, you need survival mindset. Detach from the need to be right. Focus on the need to be effective. Sometimes winning means letting them think they won, while the outcome still bends in your favor. That's psychological manipulation at its cleanest. Not malicious, strategic. People remember how they felt after talking to you, more than what was said. So if you make them feel small, you might win today but lose the relationship forever. If you make them feel respected while you still guide the outcome, then you've won the long game. The paradox is this: to win every argument, you stop trying to argue. You shift from attack to observe, from react to lead. Think of it like martial arts. You don't meet force with force. You redirect. You let the other person's momentum work against them. That's what emotional intelligence does. It sees the wave before it breaks. It rides the current instead of drowning in it. Every time someone argues, they reveal something about themselves. Their fears, their insecurities, their blind spots. If you stay calm, you see it all. If you stay calm, you can decide where to press, where to let go, where to leave them dangling in silence until they realize they've exposed too much. It feels almost unfair once you master it. Because the other person thinks they're in control, when really they're playing in your frame. And here's the question I keep asking myself. If I can win without aggression, why did I ever waste energy fighting? The answer is simple. Because I didn't know the hidden rules. I was just another human stuck in automatic reaction, driven by pride, blind to the deeper game. Once you see the structure, it changes everything. You start noticing who actually holds power in the room. You see which voices matter and which ones are just noise. You recognize manipulation before it wraps around you. The game is always being played. Most people don't even know their piece is on the board. The few who wake up become players. And when you step into that role, you no longer fear arguments. Because every argument becomes a map of the other person's psychology. Every fight is just data. Every clash is a chance to see the system underneath. That's how to win, without ever raising your voice, without ever leaving blood on the floor. So what happens when you stop reacting and start observing? You begin to notice patterns. Who always speaks first? Who waits until the end but gets the final say? Who nods not because they agree, but because they're watching for weakness? It's not random, it's a map. And if you read it right, you know exactly where to strike, or when to disappear. You start seeing the manipulation tactics so clearly it's almost laughable. That coworker who plays dumb just to lower your guard. That friend who guilt trips you into silence. That boss who praises you before cutting you off at the knees. You don't need to expose them. You just stop giving them power. That's the shift. From defending your position, to choosing where you stand. Once you detach from being liked, or being right, you can finally be effective. Because now your energy isn't scattered across emotional reactions. It's focused like a laser. There's this strange moment the first time you try it. You're in the middle of a heated argument. Your heart wants to fight back. But your mind just watches. And suddenly, you see everything. The fear behind their rage. The need behind their insults. The weakness behind their dominance. And you realize, this isn't your enemy. It's just a person, still trapped in automatic mode. You can step back, or you can redirect the whole thing. You ask a question they didn't expect. You reflect something they said, but stripped of emotion. You hold eye contact just long enough to make them question their own script. That's how to win in life, without being a threat. People trust those who don't try to overpower them. They follow those who make them feel seen. And yet, you never have to agree. You never have to submit. Social survival skills aren't about being liked. They're about being unshakable. Not cold, just grounded. You can disagree without escalating. You can stand your ground without shouting. You can win, without leaving a trail of enemies. But that only happens if you stop playing the emotional game. Step outside the ring. Become the observer. Power isn't loud. It's quiet, deliberate, invisible until it moves. Think of the people who truly lead. They don't win every argument because they fight harder. They win because others stop feeling the need to fight them. That's influence. That's how you operate above the fray. Let others burn out in debates. You stay calm, watchful, intentional. It's not manipulation if you're using it to protect your peace. It's not psychological manipulation if your goal is clarity, not control. But let's be honest, most of us aren't ready to let go of the need to win visibly. We want to see the other person submit. We want applause. We want revenge. That's not power. That's unresolved pain pretending to be strength. The strongest people don't need validation from victory. They get validation from clarity. They win because they understand how to read people. They don't react to the noise. They respond to the pattern beneath. Sometimes the best move in an argument is no move. Let it hang. Let the silence do the cutting. If the other person's entire identity is built on being right, there's nothing you can say that won't be taken as an attack. So you don't say anything. You just let them spin in their own logic, until the pattern collapses. The hardest part? You don't get the satisfaction. You don't get the moment of, I told you so. You just get peace. And maybe that's enough. Or maybe it's everything. Social hierarchy explained simply. It's not who speaks loudest. It's who speaks last. It's not who wins the argument. It's who others believe after the dust settles. And if you've mastered emotional intelligence, people remember your calm more than any point you made. You become the one others turn to, not because you win, but because you never need to. It's subtle, almost invisible, but real power always is. This doesn't mean you never argue. It means you choose which ones are worth your energy. And when you do step in, it's surgical. Not messy. Not fueled by emotion. Just clear. Sharp. Undeniable. The longer you practice this, the easier it gets. You stop fearing conflict. You start welcoming it as a window into the other person's mind. That's how you build street-smart skills. That's how you move through office politics without losing yourself. That's how you survive the game, and sometimes rewrite the rules. You'll know you've mastered it when people say things like, "I don't know how, but you always get your way." Or, "You make it hard to argue with you." It's not magic. It's awareness. And once you see the mechanism, you can't unsee it. The next time someone comes at you with heat, breathe, pause, watch the pattern play out. Decide, do I engage? Or do I shift the frame? You'll be surprised how quickly things change. How fast people soften when you don't meet their fire. How confused they get when you don't react as expected. You start creating a different atmosphere. Not one where you dominate, but one where your presence bends the dynamic. Because you've stopped playing the old game. You're not arguing to win anymore. You're guiding the system toward outcomes that last. And while everyone else is fighting over pieces, you've already moved to a different board. So ask yourself, what would change? If you never felt the need to win an argument again? What would that kind of power feel like? It lingers, doesn't it? That question, like a door half open, waiting for you to step through.